There just happened to be a terror drill taking place at the exact same time and place that somehow the terrorists just walked through this training exercise with real bombs and set them off. You know, I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. You have President Bush saying he saw the first impact on TV, which was nonsense. The first impact did not get on TV until the next day. It was just, you know, and it just goes on and on. And we are remembering all of those names, and maybe somebody will even come up with a poem, like from Guy Fawkes Day, you know, remember the 11th of September and blah, 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 blah. I'll leave it to some poet laureate out there to finish in the rest of it, where the people will just remember this and carry it forward. But at this point, I think, you know, the vast majority of Americans, and certainly the vast majority of the citizens around the rest of the world, they know it was a hoax. They know it was a fake to kick off an endless century of nonstop warfare to make the military-industrial complex rich and powerful again. They were tired of their poverty and impotency after the Soviet Union collapsed. They've been trying to find something that they could do. This was it. PNAC said right in their own documents, you know, we want to transform the United States into this new militant world power where we can project power around the globe, and to get it done anytime soon, we need a new Pearl Harbor. So a group of people sat down and said, we want to take the United States from being a nation of democracy and peace to being a warring dictatorship spreading death and destruction around the rest of the world. I'm sure with a glass of scotch in your hand, it sounded really good at that Washington social, but for the rest of us out here on planet Earth, it's kind of a sucky idea. Jeff, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. There's a lot of good websites that deal with the events and the evidence of 9/11, but I want to start one that focuses on the most damning evidence for particular individuals, so that way it can be used by any government, city, state, or whatever around the world to bring indictments against these people and to track them and find out, you know, keep track of where they are.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you this. At this point, it is obvious that under the current political system, we will never see investigations or trials of any of these people. So I think we need to step back and say, what is the real villain here? Is it George Bush? Is it Donald Rumsfeld? No, it isn't. The ultimate villain that we must confront and deal with is a government that lies to the people. They lied to us about Saddam's nuclear bombs. They lied to us about the USS Maine. They lied to us about the Gulf of Tonkin. They lied to us about blah, 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 blah. I mean, the list is endless. I've got, you know, a 16 gigabytes of website full of demonstrations of the government lying to the American people. We are the most lied to people on the face of the earth. And now is the time we must confront that reality. I know there's a lot of people out there who want to argue over little tiny minutia about thermite and all this other stuff, and that's all well and good. But I think there's a little bit of fear expressed there because we know the government lied, and that's all we really need to know. Now we need to decide what we're going to do about it. And instead of saying, let's talk about prosecuting Dov Zakheim or Rumsfeld or Dick Cheney, let's stand back and say it is time to make some choices about the government as a whole that will lie to us. Because the government is not allowed to lie to us. It is not in the Constitution. And therefore, when the government lies to us, it is acting unconstitutionally and illegally and ceases to be the legal government of this land. The instant the government lies to us, it is no longer a legitimate government. It can't be. A founding principle of this nation is that government rules with the consent of the governed. I don't consent to being lied to. I don't think anybody listening to this show consents to being lied to. And so we have to get past talking about 9/11 in fine details. We have to get past calling for a new investigation because it's just another opportunity for the government to lie to us again at heavy taxpayer expense. I don't need the government to tell me my own conclusions are correct. I'm not going to give them the authority to come in here and say what you're thinking is correct or not. I don't need that. I don't need that in my life. I know I'm right. I have already satisfied myself. Many, many years ago, I've satisfied myself that the government was lying. You should have too. Now we have to decide what we're going to do. And there's another reason why this is important to do right now. The reality here is that our government has so lost the trust of the American people, it is no longer able to function as a government. It can wave guns at us, and it can scare us, and it can loot us, and it can do all that stuff. But if there was a real emergency right now, the government can't get the people to do what needs to be done. because we have been lied to so much and fooled so much, we don't want to take the chance of being made fools of again before the eyes of the world. And so, in other words, the government has, because of its lies, delegitimized itself and rendered itself ineffective and incapable of leading. That's why instead of leaders in political office, we have salespeople. They get up there in their great suit and their smile and they say, yes, global warming this and swine flu that and healthcare this and give us your money and we will save you from whatever. It isn't statesmanship. It isn't leadership. It's a sales pitch. It's a government of the salesman, by the salesman, and for the salesman. Profits endless unto the sky until the system breaks down, which is what it's doing right now. So we need to start thinking seriously. Do we want to go on living under a government that lies to us at every opportunity? How can we know the reality of what's going on around us when the government lies to us? How do we know that what the government is doing to us and taking from us is actually legal if the government is lying to us? Because of the lies about the nuclear weapons and the Gulf of Tonkin and the USS Maine and JFK and RFK and MLK and all the rest of that, and 9/11, we cannot trust anything the government and the corporate media says. We have a right and a moral duty to question absolutely everything we have ever been taught by the government, by the media, by our schools. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
An hour ago, take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. We're going to put 9/11 down for right now. We're going to get into it a little more depth tomorrow during the 2-hour end of the week look back. Story just now breaking, and then we'll go to the phones here. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi yesterday started to back off from support of the public insurance option of health care reform. What do I mean by that? Well, the idea is because for-profit private health care insurance is so expensive. It's the reason a lot of Americans don't buy it. They can't afford it. And, you know, Obama's solution is, well, we're going to make you buy it, and that will fix everything. And so, okay, you know, do we let our kids run around naked? Do we forego food so that we can make the insurance companies just a little bit richer? And what most Americans wanted was a government-run, non-profit public health insurance option, which, of course, the for-profit insurance companies absolutely hate. They want it to go away, and they're exerting their muscle. So yesterday, Nancy Pelosi sends a signal that, well, you know, we're not going to push so hard for the public option favored by most Democrats. Just 2 hours later, Steve Elmendorf, a registered lobbyist for United Health and the head of United Health's lobbying firm, Elmendorf Strategies, arranged a huge fundraiser for Nancy Pelosi on the 24th. You know, if you're a PAC, $5,000 a ticket. If you're an individual, $2,500 a ticket. They're going to raise a huge amount of money for Nancy Pelosi for her next campaign. She sold you out, folks. She sold you. That's what they're all doing. And this is the scam. They go out and they make a big thing about, we're going to change the rules so that the corporations can't make as much money off of you as they have been. Harumph, 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 harumph. Vote for me next election. Then very quietly, they wait for the lobbyists from the corporations to bang on the door and say, look, if you back off of that, we will arrange for you to get a lot of money. And they get a little bidding war going and saying, well, how much are you offering for me to sell out? And how much are you offering for me to sell out? And they meet the price and they make the deal, and this is what's going to happen. When Nancy Pelosi runs for re-election, she will have all the videotape of when she was up there saying, yes, we must have a public option. And no mention of the fact that she backed off of it. And she'll be paying for it all with the money she got from lobbyists like this Elmendorf to get her to change her mind. That's the scam. The best government money can buy. And the corporations have got all the money because the government took it from you and poured it all over Wall Street. And now Wall Street is returning the favor by pouring some of it back onto the Congress. It's a kickback scheme. and you are the loser. All right, we're going to go back to the phones here. We've got Lauren in Ohio. Aloha, Lauren. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm biodegradable.
Biodegradable, as we all are. Mm-hmm. Hey, I was just calling to talk about why people can't seem to break through and see through the veil and what is really going on. Think about where these children have been for 13 years of their life by the time they're 18 years old. Mm-hmm. They're sitting in a classroom where they're told not to move around, where they're taught lies, mm-hmm. and then they're taught to accept the lies, and anybody that won't accept the lies, they're ostracized, they're used, So what I'm saying is we've had 4 generations of basically docility training. So these people are as docile as they can be. They can't think. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard to, you can't be mad at them. I mean, I was that human being. I didn't understand anything. I mean, I knew I didn't know anything, but I didn't know how to find anything out. And I stumbled onto shortwave. Your show, I have to say, you're on AM 770.